Welcome back, everyone. Today, we're taking a deep dive into something I think we're all pretty fascinated by.
Mhm.
That's the connection between curiosity and learning.
Yeah,
I mean, you're all here for it,
you
right?
got it. Yeah.
So to really get in the bottom of this, we've got a whole range of sources.
Absolutely.
We've got research studies, expert opinions,
Mm-hmm.
even some insights into how the Smithsonian approaches education.
That's pretty cool.
But the really interesting thing is that all these sources, they all seem to point to one big idea, and that is
This is it?
curiosity.
Yes.
It's not just, a cute thing kids have.
Right.
It's actually the driving force behind real meaningful learning.
Lifelong,
That's for all of us.
at any age.
Exactly.
Yeah, and one thing that really stands out to me from these sources is how they emphasize that curiosity. It's not just about asking questions.
Oh, yeah.
It goes way deeper than that.
Yeah.
It's this fundamental human drive to explore, to understand,
Make sense of the world.
and make sense of everything around us.
Yeah. I actually came across this really interesting riddle in one of the sources, and it kind of stuck with me.
Oh, I love a good riddle.
Yeah.
Hit me.
Okay, so picture this.
Okay.
A man is washing windows on the 25th floor of a building.
Okay, high up.
Super high up, right?
Yeah.
He slips,
No.
falls hand, no safety harness.
Oh my goodness.
Nothing to break his fall, but he's totally unharmed.
What? How is that possible?
It really makes you think, right?
Yeah.
But the answer is so simple. He was washing windows inside the building.
Oh,
See?
makes sense.
But it shows you how our assumptions can really limit our thinking
Totally.
and ultimately hold back our curiosity.
Yeah.
And I think that's so important to remember when we're approaching learning.
Mm.
We have to be open-minded,
Absolutely.
ready to challenge those preconceived notions.
I like that.
Yeah.
Challenge those assumptions.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And speaking of challenging assumptions, our sources also highlight how young children are like masters of this.
Oh, they are.
Right.
Natural born explorers.
Yeah, their natural tendency to, explore through their senses, to
Mhm.
experiment constantly.
Yeah, just keep trying things over and over again.
Even their fascination with repetition, like you said. All that. It's
Yeah.
like a curious mind in action.
Pure curiosity.
Yeah, and it's funny because one source, a video actually, about educators pointed out that infants, they're amazing learners.
Incredible.
I mean, they just effortlessly absorb all this information about language
Oh,
and
yeah.
patterns.
Soaking it all up.
They're constantly taking in all this data, figuring out which sounds go together, which ones don't. It really makes you appreciate the learning power we're all born with.
We are powerful learners
Right.
from the very beginning.
But the real challenge, and I think this is something a lot of our sources touch on,
Yeah.
is how do we nurture that curiosity?
Mm-hmm.
How do we keep it alive as we get older?
Especially in more structured learning environments.
Yeah, like school.
Yeah, exactly.
So how do we actually do that?
Yeah.
How do we cultivate curiosity, both in ourselves and in others?
That's a big question.
And luckily,
Yeah.
a bunch of our sources, especially those focusing on education and child development,
Yeah,
they offer some pretty practical strategies.
that's good.
And one of the big themes that keeps popping up is the idea of creating an environment
Okay.
that encourages exploration and
Can
inquiry.
you get safe to be curious?
Exactly.
Right.
Like the experts at the Smithsonian,
Oh, yeah.
they talked about how they use objects
Interesting.
to spark engagement and ignite curiosity.
Like what kind of objects?
Well, they gave this example of presenting a group of children with a woven net,
Okay.
but they don't tell them what it is,
Oh, that's cool.
where it came from.
So it was a mystery.
It's a total mystery.
Yeah.
And the kids immediately, they're intrigued.
Right.
They start observing closely.
I bet they're asking questions.
Well, tons of questions.
Yeah.
And they even start coming up with their own theories.
Oh, that's great.
So it's all about creating a space where that curiosity can take root and grow.
I love that idea.
And this brings us to another key concept
Okay.
that a lot of our sources talk about, and that's information gaps.
Okay.
Have you ever had that feeling of like, I need to know more?
Oh, yeah, totally.
It's like a mental itch.
You got to scratch it.
You got to scratch it.
Yeah.
And there's this one study that illustrates this perfectly.
Okay.
Researchers, they put a box filled with snakes
Oh.
in a room with a bunch of monkeys.
Okay.
Now, at first,
I bet they were scared.
they were terrified,
Yeah.
but their natural urge to explore,
Right.
It eventually outweighed their fear.
They had to know.
They had to peek inside that box.
That's classic monkey.
And I think that's so telling, right?
It is.
This drive to figure things out, to fill in those gaps in our knowledge, it's a powerful motivator for learning.
Absolutely.
And what's really fascinating is that several sources suggest that we can actually use this to our advantage.
Oh, how
by intentionally creating these information gaps.
interesting.
So, by presenting a challenge or a puzzle, a question that sparks genuine curiosity,
Yeah.
we tap into that innate desire to find the answers,
Makes sense.
to make sense of the unknown.
I like it.
Yeah.
And this idea of intentionally creating information gaps,
Yeah.
it really highlights the role of educators
Right.
in fostering that curiosity.
Absolutely.
I mean, a lot of our sources, especially those focused on educational research,
Yeah.
they emphasize the importance of teachers modeling curiosity themselves.
Be curious.
Right.
Ask those thought-provoking questions.
Yeah, and create a space where kids feel safe to explore and ask their own questions.
It's about moving away from just memorizing facts.
Rote learning.
Yeah, and towards really understanding why information matters.
Right.
And how it connects to the bigger picture.
Exactly.
It's about nurturing those critical thinking skills, problem solving,
Yeah.
and that love of learning.
A lifelong love of learning.
When I think back to my own education, the teachers who really inspired me,
I bet.
they were the ones who sparked my curiosity.
Yeah.
They weren't just giving me facts. They were making me want to learn.
Igniting that passion.
Yes.
Yes.
Creating those aha moments
Yes.
that stick with you
Exactly.
long after the lesson's over.
And one specific strategy that came up in several sources
Okay.
was the idea of using formative assessments
Okay.
to kind of reveal knowledge gaps.
Okay.
Now, this isn't about catching students out or
Yeah.
making them feel bad.
No.
It's more about guiding them to recognize where their understanding is maybe incomplete.
Okay, so it's like giving someone a puzzle,
Okay, I like that analogy.
but with a few pieces missing.
Yeah,
And it immediately makes you want to find those pieces.
complete the picture. Right?
Complete the picture.
Yeah.
And that's where effective learning strategies come in.
Right.
Because one research paper we looked at, it really emphasized the value of incorporating surprise
Okay,
or dissonance
interesting.
into the learning process.
So shaking things up a bit.
Yeah, like introducing unexpected perspectives,
Mm-hmm.
challenging pre-existing assumptions,
Keep them on their toes.
keep them engaged, keep their curiosity piqued.
I love it.
And there was this one YouTube video we watched.
Okay.
It featured an early childhood education expert.
Right.
And she had this really fascinating perspective.
Okay.
She argued that children are natural super learners.
I can see that.
Right.
Yeah.
They're constantly observing, exploring, experimenting.
Right.
And her point was that we should trust in that ability.
Right.
We don't need to overstructure their learning experiences.
Let them lead the way.
Let them lead the way.
Yeah.
She even gave examples of children in hunter-gatherer society
Oh, wow.
who learn incredibly complex skills like hunting
Yeah.
and tool making
Just by watching.
just by observing and participating in their communities.
That's amazing.
No formal classrooms,
Yeah.
no textbooks.
Wow.
It's just pure, immersive,
curiosity-driven,
curiosity-driven learning.
powerful.
And it really challenges our assumptions about how learning should happen.
It does.
Right.
Yeah.
It's about providing the right conditions, the right environment
Yeah, set the stage.
for that curiosity to thrive.
Absolutely.
And speaking of fostering the right conditions, a lot of our sources emphasize the importance of learner autonomy.
Okay.
So giving students more control over what and how they learn,
Interesting.
this means offering choices,
Yeah.
allowing for self-directed exploration, focusing on the relevance of the material to their lives.
I like that.
And there's this one study that looked at different approaches to teaching a mental math technique.
Okay.
And they found something really interesting.
What's that?
The students who were asked to think about
Okay.
and write about how this technique was relevant to their own lives,
Okay.
they showed way more interest and engagement in learning it.
So they could connect it to their own lives.
Exactly.
Wow, that's powerful.
And it just highlights the power of connecting learning to personal meaning.
Yeah, make it matter.
Make it matter to something the learner genuinely cares about.
I like it.
And this brings us to a really interesting case study that was featured in one of our sources.
Okay.
Attempts to leverage curiosity within the Indian education system.
Okay, yeah.
It's a complex situation.
I bet.
Facing challenges like teacher absenteeism,
Yeah.
an emphasis on exam-focused learning,
Right.
limited access to resources.
Yeah, that's a lot to overcome.
But despite these barriers,
Okay.
The source highlights some surprisingly successful strategies,
That's encouraging.
like the Nali Kali program,
Okay.
which uses a competency-based approach.
Okay.
So it breaks down learning into smaller, more manageable steps,
Okay.
and it allows students to progress at their own pace.
So it meets them where they're at.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And it also incorporates elements of play and fantasy into the activities.
Oh, that's fun.
Yeah, it taps into the power of novelty and surprise
Yeah.
to boost engagement and curiosity.
Very cool.
And it's really encouraging to see that even in tough situations, these innovative approaches can make a difference.
Absolutely.
And what I found particularly interesting about this Nali Kali program
Yeah.
is that it focuses on building a sense of competence and mastery,
Yeah.
which a lot of our sources point out is a key driver of
Definitely.
intrinsic motivation and curiosity.
Makes sense.
You feel good when you're good at something.
Absolutely.
And another interesting point from this source about the India education system
Okay.
is that curiosity is not a fixed trait.
Okay.
It can be cultivated over time.
So even if you don't feel naturally curious about something, you
Exactly.
can develop that curiosity.
By emphasizing the relevance of the material,
Okay.
providing opportunities for autonomy and choice,
Mm-hmm.
fostering a sense of accomplishment.
Yeah.
Educators can help spark that flame of curiosity.
That's really helpful.
Yeah. It suggests that even if we don't feel naturally drawn to a certain topic,
Yeah.
we can develop that curiosity.
And make learning more engaging and rewarding.
Exactly. So as we wrap up this deep dive into curiosity and learning,
Yeah.
I'm curious,
I like it.
what are some of the big takeaways for you?
For me, one of the things that really stuck with me is that curiosity isn't something you're just born with or you're not.
Right.
It's actually a skill you can develop.
Like a muscle.
Yeah, you can practice it.
The more you use it.
It's the stronger it gets.
Yeah.
Whether it's, seeking out new experiences,
Yeah.
asking thought-provoking questions, or even just letting yourself wonder why,
Mm,
we can all choose to nurture that curiosity.
I totally agree. And I think it's important to remember that curiosity, it's not just about, hoarding information.
Right.
It's about connecting that knowledge to something that matters.
Yeah, make it meaningful.
Yeah, to your goals, to your aspirations.
Exactly. And one source, an article about fostering curiosity in the classroom, it offered this really interesting perspective. Okay.
They said instead of trying to make people more curious,
Mm-hmm.
we should focus on creating moments that evoke a curious response.
I love that.
Yeah.
It's not about forcing it. It's
No.
about setting the stage.
Creating the right environment.
And that applies to us as adult learners, too.
Absolutely.
We need to create those curiosity-inducing moments for ourselves.
Yes.
So whether it's picking up a book on a totally new subject,
Yeah.
going to a museum exhibit that challenges your thinking,
Mm-hmm.
or even just having a conversation with someone who has a different point of view,
I like that.
we can actively seek out experiences that spark our curiosity.
Absolutely. And as we've seen, even small actions can make a big difference.
Yeah.
Modeling curiosity in our interactions,
Mm.
asking thoughtful questions,
Mm-hmm.
being open to new perspectives.
It all adds up.
It creates a culture of curiosity.
So to leave you with one final thought-provoking question,
Okay, hit me.
what's one thing you're genuinely curious about right now?
Yeah, what's that one thing you just want to learn more about? What's that itch you need to scratch?
Follow that curiosity, see where it leads you.
It might just be the start of your most rewarding learning adventure yet.
I love that.
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive into the power of curiosity.
It's been fun.
We hope you found it insightful, and we hope you'll continue to explore these ideas and the sources we discussed.
Keep learning.
Until next time, keep those curious minds engaged.